All right, I'm going to pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so first order of business is you have the minutes from the last January meeting. Any comments or questions? And if not, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, then the next order of business is that we gave you a chief certificate to produce to promote George Conrack to first-class patrolman. Lieutenant?
I didn't bring Officer Cornick here. He was here when he turned second class, and he was just here last month when the chief had all the guys who were hired come before this board. He's a Penn State graduate, no prior law enforcement. He had a little bit of experience at Penn State on their police department, maybe a month or two. I don't even know if he got to the street. And he's young and he's bright, and he's motivated. He's a great hire, and those words are all true. He's already starting to get additional responsibility because he has a degree in IT security. So we already have an officer who has a lot of time on, Detective Moretti, who does a lot of our in-house security and keeps track of our computer systems and databases. And now we have Officer Cornick, even with his short amount of time on, doubling up and learning those responsibilities so we can keep passing it forward. But he's a good hire and he's a good officer.
All right,
Make a motion that we hire him. Move him on up.
second for that?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, now, getting into more the meat of what we do, is the first thing is we've received a request through the chief and the lieutenant from Township Council that they are asking us to terminate the existing hiring list, the eligibility list that we actually technically approved. We approved it in May, but we amended it. So the amended list was in June. So that's the one we're now terminating. It, as typically happens, a lot of people on that list, I'm sure, are hired elsewhere, and it was a short list this time to begin with. After the examples of for background investigations and people that just didn't want the job. So we're ready to terminate the June 22 list. If there's a motion for that.
I make a motion that we
Section your
approve.
R68
Second.
after 4.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now that we don't have a list, we're authorized to go forward and beginning a new testing procedure. Now, just explain what we do by the resolution is we choose the testing agency, authorize either Joe or I to sign agreements with them to get the test and get things organized. And we pick the first date, which is the test. The lieutenant has arranged for the fire academy to be the place for the test. Joe, you remember we used that years ago for the testing. Because the new middle school does not have desks in the auditorium. So this makes it easier.
Seats.
So this is practical. It's the same room that we used years ago, and I thought we had good experience there. It's going
Is
to be
that
on
the one that was like the hall?
Yeah, we had two. Usually, we've had as many as two of the rooms down there, and then there was the cafeteria down at the end. So it was.
Don't they have
Where they had, like,
in the
weddings and
auditorium?
stuff.
They have seats that, like the middle school, that
Yeah.
fold up.
Right. So there's an auditorium, there's a cafeteria, And there's also classrooms throughout the whole thing. If we had such a response that we needed all that room, they also told us that we could have it for the entire day. So if we were lucky enough to get like 700 applicants, which I'm not, I don't believe we're going to get there, but we could also have 2 tests there. So even though I don't think it's likely, we could do like a 9 o'clock and a 2 o'clock testing. But once we put it in motion, we need to be prepared that we have so many applicants, maybe we have to do 2 testing, and they're going to keep it open for us as long as necessary. And the school is as simple as the school doesn't have those flop over desks anymore, so it's small, but it's important.
And which street is that?
Conshohocken Road.
Yeah.
It's off Conshohocken Road.
Yeah.
It's technically called Academy Drive.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You see it, you'll see it from there.
Okay.
So that's where it's going to be. We're setting it up like last time for possibility of 2 tests. Hopefully just 1, but that works out better for us, but what it is. We've also established June 3rd as the date for the physical agility, because I left you a message that the normal date we would have had a week earlier, but that's Memorial Day weekend. So the chief, I said he had already picked the 3rd before I talked to him, so I could do it with that. And then we set the dates for the oral exams to go forward. Now, what's interesting about this test, I moved, of my own volition, moved the due date ahead a day, a couple days, because we're going to have, their shipping rules are going to be difficult to meet. We don't have everything ready by Friday. We make an order on Friday. They will ship, the overnight will come out on Tuesday, so we'll have it in the middle of the week. There's nothing worse than sitting around waiting for tests to come when you have 500 people showing up and you don't have the test booklet. So made it a little bit earlier just for that, a couple of days. But this is a good time. We were cutting the test real close last time. I think we left a little more time to get the people to get their information in and get information out about the examination. One of the things that I've recommended is in investigating options for the testing. I contacted, it was IPMA, they've changed their name to the Public Service IT, but they do have a test that's available that was labeled, and caught my interest. It was designed to even out and, if not eliminate, at least reduce the discrepancy in scores between, as typically on the test they've given, women and minorities were not scoring as high. This test cuts back. I gave you a comparison chart. That,
This is the test we're gonna get?
yes, that's what I would recommend. I spoke to the chief about it. He was in favor of trying it, and we can see how it works out. So you can see the assessment, what's different is the old test is more like an SAT test.
Which was the
Yeah.
old test, the
Yeah, what-
POA cognitive?
POA, yes, that was
Okay.
100.
The first column.
That was the 100 series. That's
Okay.
what we've always used. This is the 200 series, which honestly, I read the technical memorandum on it, and I'm still not quite sure how I can explain it, but this test has another feature that actually tests more situational things. You can see it's really geared towards, it's called the Police Interest Questionnaire. It gives you, it's a reading. It's not really a questionnaire that they fill out and make it part of the scoring, but it's part of the test information booklet where they read it, and it gives them examples of what they should and shouldn't be doing in situations and tries to test how they do it. So it's testing their interest in serving the community, their interest in treating people professionally, which I thought was interesting, and it's apparently evens out the scores more than we've had before. So I think it's worth trying it, if the board agrees with it. It's still an approved test. The key, we have to use a testing agency because they do all the background testing, making sure the questions are fair, making sure that there's not bias, making sure they're correct. And, we hire them because of their expertise in developing the tests. This is one, I think, one of their choices, so it's still valid. I think it's a good idea. and I'd like to see how it works out.
I can just say, if I may, that the chief strongly supports trying this new updated test, for what that's worth.
What is the third column? I mean, that's,
That's a video test. I don't think we
okay.
really, you know,
right.
I didn't want to get into
No,
the
I
preparation
just,
for doing it.
I figured it was.
A lot of
I wasn't sure what the other
A
column.
lot of places, like civil service tests, like with the state, you actually could go take it on a computer.
Oh, yeah, right.
And you don't do them, but we do them all at the same time and do it on a list that, you know, we would really
Okay,
wouldn't
that's-
be able to do that, but I
That
think
doesn't work.
that'd be interesting. So, but this one is something we haven't tried before, and I think it'd be a good idea to move forward if it works.
I just have a question. When do you assess the person's reading and written skills?
They're part of it, they're still there, but it is their communication skills.
But it's in the
What they
questions
get,
type thing?
what they get, and we open the test up, we have the test information booklet, and I forget, I think it's 25 minutes they get to read. It's basically a reading that was more in the past, more reading comprehension. There's still reading comprehension in it, but it's moving towards their ability to remember situations, what they're doing, and wanted posters, things they can observe. So it is still tests their ability to understand the communication skills, but not to the degree that it did. And they're working these personal skills into it. Now, I trust them that this is an objective test, because my first questionnaire, when I read it, I thought it was a police questionnaire. I said, how can we do that? And I understood what they're doing. It's part of the reading that they do. So it's similar to that, but it's more towards stuff. You know, it's not just reading. As I said, the old test, if you did good on an SAT test, you would do good on the old police test. You know, just it's the same type of thing. And it was also gave people that had gone through college or had just got out of school an advantage, because I couldn't take a test today. I mean, I know I'd failed the bar exam if I took it today, but you know, it's been 40 years, you know, so it's since I studied all that, and that's what the advantage. I think is trying to even things out. We'll see. That's what they claim.
So I remember at some point, we talked about providing study guides to the applicants. So is that going to be part of this process now?
If
What-
I can, the last time this came up, we had already given out a series of applications, and there was no real streamlined way of getting study guides to the people who had already picked up applications, and there was concern about it being unfair. This time, right from the get-go,
Right.
the chief's recommendation would be to go with this test and to have a study guide.
Okay, the study guide that they have available for this test is online, so they have to, I put the link to how they can order the test. The test, we're still charging $20 to take our test, because it's about a break even for us in the cost of buying it and doing it. The study guide, the agency that does the study guide allows access to it online, but it's a $20 fee.
To the study guide or?
It's to the company, the public service that we're using.
So the applicant would have to pay the 20, so they have to pay $20 to take the test?
And if they
And then
wanna take the
another
study guide,
$20
yes.
Now,
to pay for the study guide?
I will say this, and we would like from the police department to have the study guide available. We did recently lower the test from 35 to 20, if I'm not mistaken, trying to make it more economically feasible. You know, our goal is to get as many people as we can in the door, however we can do that. They don't need to have the police academy. We make the test less expensive, all these kind of concepts to make us an attractive place. So I hear what you're saying. We lowered it 15 to go up 20. I don't really know an answer other than that if they want the study guide, they would have to purchase it. You correct me if I'm wrong.
They get an online subscription to it and can use it as long as they want and study with it.
SAT sells SAT books. You go to
And there's-
classes, people teach SAT prep, you pay.
And it's one of those things, too, that organizations that want to, the chief is working with, I forget the name of the agency and the woman he's working with for outreach. A lot of the police departments used to do training classes in how to take a civil service test. There's other ways to do this than get
Yeah, but this is a test that we've never done before, and the
Largely.
applicants, and I get
Yeah.
leveling the playing field, but now we're talking about people who may or may not have access to the internet, and you're asking them now to pay an additional $20 for the study guide. Is there any way that,
20 times 700, yeah, that's a lot of money.
yeah, I hear you, it's all about money, but,
I can tell you, we didn't budget for it.
Right.
Okay.
And I gotta tell you, we did discuss buying the study guides and handing them out last time. I do not remember the cost, but I think it was a couple $1,000s by
Yeah.
the time we got through it.
You have to assume
Yeah.
So you can't return unused test.
When we return the unused tests,
study
but
guides.
the study guides, but the study guide is independent. There's nothing to return unused, you know,
Because
if we did that, especially since they do it online now.
Mm.
Yeah.
okay.
And I have nothing to base this on in terms of, this isn't a fact, but I believe if we're coming in at $40 with the study guide, I still think that would be very much in the ballpark, maybe even still less than other people are charging. If that makes anybody feel better, I don't know. And again, I haven't surveyed other people, but I know $20 is low for the test.
So it used to be 35, right?
Yeah.
We
So
lowered it
kind
to-
of you can say it went up $5.
$5, right.
See, where we actually make out on the test and why we were able to lower it is we were charging the per applicant fee. And you all went to the last exam and realized how many people didn't show up, how many books we got to return. Well, the tests that weren't used, that were still sealed, we got our money back. So we ordered enough for everybody, but we didn't use it all. So the result was that we didn't impress. And the other thing about the study guide is that it's going to help you take any other test, not just ours. I'm going to encourage, you know.
Plus, I think, you know, maybe it weeds out the person who figures, I'll just take the test on a whim, and, you know, now you gotta pay 20 more bucks, you're a more serious person if you order the study guide and take the test. I don't know, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but to me, total of 40 bucks is not onerous in my mind. Plus, we'd have to buy 700, we'd have to assume the maximum people, right? 700 times.
And I'm throwing that number out there, you know, obviously from our standpoint,
$1,400.
we're going to do everything we can to get as many people in that door as we can. How successful we are, we'll all know on May 13th. But that's how we're approaching it. That I would love to have, 700 people show up. I don't even think that's really realistic, but that would be great.
So, and moving forward, we've given you we've approved the resolution to terminate the list. Now, the resolution that I've just explained to you and I've sent to you previously, or at least today, was the list to approve the test, approve the dates, and move forward.
I have some questions on that. For the resolution to approve. Paragraph 2, the commission authorizes the chair to accept the terms of engagement or agreement. I'm just curious what that should be.
Well, it's what they.
I just want to make sure it's not a typo.
That is the phrase that they used years ago when we started this. I don't know if they have changed it, but there is a contract that has to be signed and approved.
Is it a term of agreement or engagement?
Well, we're engaging the
Okay,
society.
all right,
So
that
there are experts in preparing the test.
Okay, that's all.
So that's what they used before. I really
Okay.
just left that in there from years ago, but it's what we're engaging a professional service.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so.
So the notice of examination,
Mhm.
commission establishes you have Friday, but in the,
Oh, God, for your Saturday.
It should be Saturday, and the time to testing are 9 and 1, as well as, like Dr. Jones said, the location.
Let's see.
This is the one that's actually going to be posted.
Yes, that's the advertisement, so we can work with them.
Plus it says Colonial Middle School.
All right, we'll agree to that. Well, with those changes, we can approve it. That's not a resolution, so we will correct the motion as corrected and send it over to the department tomorrow. All right. So with that, is there a motion to approve the resolution to proceed with the testing?
I make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so we are now starting on a new testing procedure. As you're all well aware, what we did last time, at the back end of the exam, backgrounds took a lot longer than they used to because of the plethora of information that you got now. So it's going to be interesting.
Who is this?
All right, what I have is, can I pass these resolutions around for everybody to sign?
One possible, I have a couple of items.
Sure. While you're doing that, you can get into your good of the police department.
So the first thing I want to revisit old business, and that is, we've been talking the last couple of months about these different discipline tiers, and the chief said that he would hold up on a formal request until we had a staff meeting. And we did have that staff meeting, and every sergeant has reported back to his men and women under his command. The body has no objection to the extended tiers of discipline. So it was brought up in an administrative meeting, the sergeants took it back to their people, and then I spoke to every sergeant personally before I came to this meeting over the last week or so. So it's been approximately 1 month since they were made aware of these proposed changes, and there's no objection from the body, either as a unit or as by an individual.
All right, so I prepared a draft of the rules, but we have to be on the same page with the township on it. So what I can do now is forward to township solicitor what we discussed, and they can give us their comments, and we can agree on the same rules. Okay, so I'll do that this week. I'll get that over to them.
Does that require a motion?
The approval of
The final
the final
product?
part will require a motion and a resolution for that. But I think this stage, you understood, I understood what we put forward, and they're going to tell us if they agree with it. I don't see there'd be a lot of room for change, but there might be other things, like we added the issues about discrimination in here. We added just a few other tweaks because it was time to make them, and they may have some other tweaks also with that. So-
Actually, I have some new tweaks,
Okay.
because that's how I am. One of the things I want to discuss with this board is, when you look at the oral board portion of hiring, it's very specific where it says that the board has to be a three-person board, and they have to have at least the rank of sergeant. is if that's not necessary, I guess what I'm asking is that it simply says an oral board of any sworn member of the police department. So the thought being that we may want to bring another person in, not to extend a board, but a person who does not have rank. Because maybe they see something from a different perspective than we are. Now, we may even stay with people who have rank, but if we could open it up to an oral board that can consist of up to 4 people, regardless of rank, as opposed to 3 persons, sergeant above, that would be the change I would request. And if we're going to propose it to the
So
township.
you might make it an odd number, right? If it's not 3, maybe 5. I mean,
Even up to 5.
What I'm saying is,
Yeah,
So
usually
you
one
don't
odd
have
you
number.
want an
tie.
odd number, just so.
I think it's a good point.
Now, would that be all, like, 3 of the 5 have to be sergeants?
Now, I would like for it to say up to 5 people, up to, that are current sworn members of the police department.
Could we exclude probationary officers?
I'd probably, I mean, it would never happen, but with
Well.
that being said, I got you, yeah.
But we
How
could do
about,
it.
at
First
least the
class.
rank of officer, first class?
Yes, yeah.
All right. That's 3 years of service. And even that probably wouldn't happen, but you're right, for the language part of this. Up to 5 people, at least officer of first class. Officers have been approaching for years saying they want to be a part of this, and the regulations didn't allow for it, so.
The only thing, we say up to 5, that could mean 1. So maybe we say between 3, or it's 3 to 5, or
3 to 5,
something. I mean, I'm
that works
just,
for me. Not less than 3, not more than 5?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So you're saying you wanted someone who was not a sworn officer?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
You were saying you wanted someone who was not a sworn
No,
officer?
they have to be a sworn officer, but right now they have to have rank.
Okay.
And if we have officers that have been around for 15 years, but they don't have rank, sometimes they're the informal leaders of the police department. And maybe they see something that when you get old and chubby like me, that maybe it's good to bring some guys in. I always say guys, men or women officers in that want to be there, and they have a different perspective. And I think it's just all good. And
Yeah, I agree.
at least having that option.
I understand.
I'll add that to the memo that I'll send over to the solicitor. If everybody's in favor of that. It's not a
Yeah.
motion, but it's a,
Yes.
yeah.
Make a motion.
Well, it's not a motion, it's just giving me the guidance of what you're thinking now, so that I can take it forward. When we actually approve the rules and
That'll be next,
well,
whenever we hear back.
whenever they get back to it, because for the township, there's a requirement that they do the ordinance, which requires advertisement.
Right.
You know, we just vote on it and we're done, but
Right.
they have a timetable because of the way they have to approve ordinances. They have to do it by ordinance, we just do it by motion. Try to get all that in there.
And then the last thing I have is I think Tom attached a copy. There was a letter of accommodation that was put in there.
Yes.
One of the detectives got 2 cases in a week where people were scammed. One was like $50,000, and this is off the top of my head. One was like $15,000.
Right.
But anybody who knows how these scams work, they take it from your account, they put it in another account, they put it in another account. So the whole time you're doing search warrants, which take time, you're chasing this trail money, and to be honest with you, it's almost always gone. Banking, out of the country, or if it's only $30,000, we're not going to California. But this detective, of course, the week, got the warrants punched and did a good enough job that he was able to make arrests, which is nice, but more importantly,
Get the money.
he got the money back. So, and even when you're a good investigator, that's not an easy thing.
No.
How is the, for lack of a better term, the job fair seminar thing going that the police department is doing? You brought in a consultant?
Right, before I came to this meeting, I was at another meeting, with Gale Plant. And part of that was just having a communication with the chief as a civic organization that she's a part of, but that was also brought up at the end. It's actually on February 28th. So the communication is great. You know, she asked us for a couple things, we asked her for a couple things. It's all coming together. It's the first time we've done it, and I'll probably know more at the March meeting about how it went, but it looks good.
Numbers are good, attendees, we don't know yet.
We're attending it well. London Township was attending it well, and we're hosting it. I don't mind saying, even in a public meeting, I would have hoped to have more people from this area jump on board.
Who are you looking for specifically?
For
Who's the
people who-
target audience?
Better ways to hire.
Okay, so the community.
Yeah, and so, well, we're looking, actually, this is for police departments,
Okay,
to take a second look at, we come here and we see these little tweaks and we're making them and we're making this better. These documents have laid dormant for a lot of years. That's just the truth. This board has taken the time to take a look at it and tweak it. But the way we've done things has been done the same. I've been doing it for almost 20 years with only missing maybe one. So some people say we might have some ideas about how you can do it better. And the chief said, I'm interested. Now, I'm on this board, so I'm going to attend this training, and I'm going to make every effort to have the other people sitting on this board with me this time attend this training, because why go to the training if you're not on it? But even people who may be on it next time, because I'm starting to wind down now. So our administrative staff and some supervisors are going to be there.
Are the various, I guess, councils and board of supervisors of the various townships, are they invited?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. I know that we assisted in putting it out to law enforcement. I don't know if there was other channels used to put it out. I honestly don't know that. Sometimes these things take time for people to,
They do.
you know. But I'm not just saying these words. We're interested, and it's going to be well attended by us. So, you know, that's what I can control.
You're talking about, this is the thing going to be here on the 28th or
On the
something?
28th.
Yeah, I saw something on Facebook,
Yeah.
I guess, about it.
It's basically, as I look at it, and this is without having gone to one yet, it looks like it's a training seminar for people for police departments on how they can possibly hire better. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to push the state back too, because if we're not going through the training till February 28th, we don't have the oral boards to June, so we can go to the training, take a look at it, make some adjustments. We have time to, to maybe actually incorporate and apply things that we think work for us.
Okay. Any other report on the police department?
That's all I have. I'm taking up your time.
Great. There's no public, once again, so there's no public comment. Anyone else have any business to come before the commission? All right. And motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.